When Crockett points out that Congress can somehow locate $40 billion practically overnight to send abroad, but can't locate $6 a day to help Americans eat, she's highlighting a fundamental contradiction in how political power is being used.
Thank you so much. I just love that we care so much more about dogs' lives than we do actual lives, but I'm going to continue on. I want to make sure that I enter this UC, which is one of the reasons that we are a bit skeptical of any immigration, quote unquote, enforcement laws that y'all are trying to pass. This UC is from The Guardian. It says, immigrants with no criminal record now largest group in ICE detention. You know, I listened to Mr. Van Drew.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. I listened to Mr. Van Drew, who I do respect, and he went on and on and on about how this is about the bad guys. And I will be honest with you and tell you that when it came down to the election, there were a lot of people who really believed that the Republicans and the president were all about getting the bad guys out. People truly believed your words, but your actions are not matching up, because I've got the receipts showing that they are not matching up. And so call us a little paranoid in believing that the hypocrisy may continue to come from across the aisle. Speaking of hypocrisy, I do want to point out, since we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, because we couldn't talk about Epstein before. If y'all recall, we were gone for about 2 months because we couldn't talk about Jeffrey Epstein. And now everybody wants to act as if they want to have like a real honest conversation about the victims and the survivors and everybody else. Where was this conversation a long time ago? And I know that y'all love to go back and say that Joe Biden didn't do it. You know, Joe Biden is blamed for everything. Joe Biden didn't do anything, and it was Joe Biden's fault, and why wasn't Joe Biden? Joe Biden didn't campaign on it. I just want to be clear. If y'all can run me the tape, then run me the tape. But you know, when you campaign and you go out and you make a promise, then we evaluate whether or not you actually meet your promises. So listen, this was rope that y'all decided to hang yourselves with because the president campaigned on the Epstein files while we were campaigning on things such as affordability. We were campaigning on the things that now people are complaining about, right? Because of the tariffs and the fact that you guys won't say anything and tell the president, hey, sir, tariffs are taxes. We as Republicans, we usually don't like taxes. And guess what? That's gonna make everything unaffordable. So now he's gonna be our big savior, and he is gonna reduce the price of foods because he is the guy that actually increased the price of foods. So listen, if you can have this honest conversation about Epstein now, let's just go ahead with this lame duck president and be honest about everything that the American people care about. They care about affordability. They care about the fact that literally people are starving in this country because we have 42 million people, and I don't remember any one of you during that almost 2-month break deciding to go on faux news or any other news outlet and say, you know what, it is wrong to have 42 million people that are relying on $6 a day to eat, and we have the money because somehow our president was able to find under the couch cushion, the one that JD wasn't sitting on, under the couch cushion, he was able to find 40, how much did he find to send to Argentina? 40, there we go, 40 billion to send to Argentina. But those emergency funds, he couldn't find them emergency funds so that Americans could eat. So listen, if y'all are gonna be honest and talk about Epstein right now, let's be honest about everything that is causing y'all to lose real bad. Did y'all see the election results on November 4th? It didn't go very well. So let's just start having honest conversations so that hopefully some of y'all in some of these tight seats, maybe y'all can get reelected and we can just work.
What you just heard from Rep. Jasmine Crockett wasn't just a fiery committee room exchange. It was a reality check about what our elected officials choose to prioritize, what they choose to ignore, and what those choices mean for real people across this country. And this contradiction didn't start yesterday. It reflects years of policy decisions where working families, seniors, veterans, and children have been pushed to the bottom of the priority list while outrage-driven political theater sits at the top. She raises the issue of immigration enforcement not because Democrats oppose border security, but because the data shows that the largest group in ICE detention now consists of people with no criminal record at all. That fact complicates the simplistic narrative that Republicans often repeat, that the focus is on removing the bad guys. When the actions don't match the rhetoric, skepticism isn't just understandable, it's necessary. Crockett also calls out what often goes unspoken in Washington, selective outrage. The sudden willingness to discuss Epstein after months of refusing to even allow the topic into the chamber reveals how politics, not justice, drives the agenda. And she connects this to a broader pattern. Issues are elevated when they serve political narratives, not when they serve the public. Her comments about tariffs cut to another truth many Americans feel firsthand. Prices don't rise in a vacuum. They rise because of policy choices. Tariffs are taxes, and when they're passed down to consumers, groceries, household goods, and everyday essentials become more expensive. People feel it every time they go to the store. And yet the same politicians who supported those tariffs now try to position themselves as champions of affordability. Crockett's point isn't just political, it's logical. You can't fix a problem you created without acknowledging how you created it. But perhaps the most striking moment is when she zeroes in on food insecurity. 42 million Americans relying on roughly $6 a day to eat is not a statistic, it's a national moral failure. It's families skipping meals, seniors stretching their groceries for a week too long, kids waking up hungry before school. And in the 2 months Congress was on break, Crockett notes that not a single Republican voice came forward demanding emergency funds to ensure those Americans could eat, yet money was found for other priorities. This is the heart of her message. Priorities reveal values. And elections, which she points out didn't go well for Republicans this past cycle, reflect what voters see and feel in their daily lives. People are tired of political games, tired of distractions, tired of leaders who talk endlessly about problems but refuse to address the ones happening right in front of them. Crockett calls for honesty not as a political weapon, but as a starting point for governing. Because you can't solve affordability without acknowledging why prices rose. You can't talk about protecting Americans while ignoring millions who can't afford food. And you can't claim to care about justice on one issue while refusing to address it on another. Her message is ultimately simple. If we're going to talk about protecting the American people, then let's talk about all of the American people, not just the ones who fit neatly into talking points. If this resonates with you, pay attention, engage, read, watch, vote. Democracy only works when people refuse to let selective outrage and political theater drown out the real issues affecting everyday lives. The more informed we all are, the harder it becomes for anyone in power to hide behind rhetoric instead of results.